This is my drone gear tour for 2023. It's everything I use to get shots like this, and this, and this, and this. So the first piece of gear that I've got is actually not tech at all. It's the carrying case that I use. I'm really fortunate that they make these things so cool to carry around with a strap and this nice neutral tone. When I first got my drone, I actually didn't use a case for a couple of weeks and just carried it around in the box that it came in, and that was terrible. If nobody's told you, when you buy a drone, you can't resist buying more stuff for it. The more stuff that you get, the harder it is to lug it all around in that box. Not as fun. Having a carrying case is awesome. I think it's fairly water resistant. It's kind of a hard shell, small, so I can put it in a backpack. It's nothing fancy, but it gets the job done and it keeps everything consolidated, which is really what I needed. Opening this up, on both sides, you've got gear. This side is the drone and controller side, and then this is all the little accessories that just keeps it kind of loose in this pouch. The cutout for this drone is different than another drone. You would have to buy a different case. This is the cheaper of the two options, but it still does everything you need. So joysticks, you've got the camera start and stop record with the right trigger, tilt the camera up and down with the left trigger. I actually don't use the thumbsticks, but they hide here in the bottom and they can just pop out and be screwed in, which is nice so that it doesn't stick out that much when you put it away or when you have it in storage. I just keep them down there and don't ever use them. I feel like I'm gonna lose them in the grass or something, screwing them in. And honestly, you can fly just as well without it, I think. So, but that's just a personal preference. I don't think most people do that. Another feature you've got with DJI controllers is different settings. So you've got a cinema mode, normal mode, and sport mode. And you can actually, in the app, control the specifics about how fast and smooth each of these settings are. Generally, I don't use sport ever. I use normal for getting into position for a shot, and then I slide it over to Cine for getting the shot. I have those settings really dialed in, so they're just a lot smoother and it looks more cinematic, which is the idea, I guess. And then in the top, you've got this piece that pops out, and then you can just slide your phone in there. It's not awesome. I want the other controller, to be honest. It'll hold a pretty decent sized phone. I mean, it also comes with 3 of these cables that you connect into your phone. So they've got USB-C, micro USB, I think, and then lightning cable. Putting this aside, digging into the pocket side of the carrying case. First is the charging cable that I have. USB-C works on the drone, the controller, and then the other accessories that I have, so I just have the one. Up next is the filters that I have. Freewell is the brand that I use and that's been recommended to me. It's by no means the only brand doing drone filters, but I don't really have any complaints so far, so I'm probably just gonna keep using them. I keep them in this little case, and I have 2 right now. One is a CPL filter, and then the other is an ND filter. I have an ND16. The idea with filters is that they help you change the settings of the camera. So the CPL filter honestly looks cooler than it is actually useful. I almost never use it because I don't really understand it. But it's supposed to be a polarizer, so the idea would be that it reduces some glare, basically off things like water or reflective glass surfaces, things like that. And it's got this little dial that you're supposed to turn it, whether you're shooting horizontal or vertical. But I switch between the two so much that it's not really that practical. So I pretty much have that one permanently in this case and I never get it out. And then the other one that I use all the time, pretty much if it's not sunset or sunrise, then I'm using this ND16. I'd like to get an ND32, I think, as well for really bright sunny days. But it's basically sunglasses for your drone, which allows you to have better camera settings. And I'll probably explain that in a different video. And they just pop on the drone in front of the camera, and they're pretty simple and easy to swap out. The filters also came with a microfiber cloth, which I actually do use sometimes. Next piece of gear, I've got my Nightlight. The regulations around flying drones at night are that you need a light that is visible from 3 nautical miles. I found it pretty difficult to find a light that actually advertised visible from 3 nautical miles. They all just say that they're FAA approved or something like that. But it's a super bright LED light and it's got a couple of settings. So it has a flash and then kind of a strobe and then a steady state for all 3 of those colors, green, white, and red. Honestly blinding whenever I set it up, then I have to take a second before I can do anything. It came with a Velcro patch. I mounted it right on the top of my drone so that it would be the most visible, I think, but also the least in the way, I guess. I don't love the way it looks on the drone, but it's more of a legality thing. And then it came with a USB-C cable, which I actually don't know why I keep with it because I have the other one. It came with this little hard shell case, and I think it helps for organization. So I put the other 2 wires for the controller in here as well, and then I just keep all that tucked away. So when you're taking videos and pictures, you need storage. So I bought a micro SD card. Looks like this. It came with this little case. It actually has a regular size SD card that you can slide the micro SD into, depending on what your computer reads. So that's pretty handy. I went with a 256 gigabyte, and that's been plenty for me for several months of shooting video, probably once a week. And it's 4K video, so it does take up a decent bit of storage. The last bit of gear in this side pocket is an additional battery. It took me a while to convince myself to actually get one of these. It's decently expensive comparatively, but it's made all the difference, honestly. Being able to swap out the batteries, always have one charging. My kind of philosophy with the batteries too is that if you're not able to get what you want within the 50 minutes of battery life that 2 will give you, then you're probably not gonna get it anyways. 50 minutes to an hour of battery life is a great amount of time when you're shooting a sunset or any kind of interesting thing. I've found it to be plenty. I've never really completely run out of battery life and thought that I had so much more to get. Now, the final and most exciting piece of tech that I've got here is the actual drone itself. So it folds up really nicely and compact into this little pocket here. And then this is what it looks like. So it's about the size of a phone, and some people don't know that the propellers just swing kind of loose when it's not powered on, and so they're not rigid in place, and that's also where they can get bent or damaged as you're storing it, or if you put it in your pocket or something, because honestly it fits in your pocket, so sometimes it makes the most sense to do that. So starting with the front, this is not the camera, this is a protective lens over the camera. And I actually read a review online of a guy who was saying that it's really frustrating that DJI had it come with this weird brown gray lens over the camera because it ruined all his shots. Hopefully he figured it out because his drone was more expensive than mine. But it just pops off and then I leave it in the carrying case when I'm flying. So this is DJI's Mini 3. It's not the Mini 3 Pro. It's got a few less features, but same body and build and same camera. So starting with the camera, it's on this gimbal. It can move up and down, side to side. The head can turn vertical or horizontal. So that's one of the main features about this drone that a lot of other even nicer, more expensive drones don't have, is the vertical shooting mode. The wings fold out just like this. So you can see that the footprint dramatically expands, and it's nice that they made it where it's able to fold up into a smaller package. On the back side, you've got where the battery sits. The battery is honestly most of the weight. So this drone is 249 grams around about. It's a whole thing with the FAA that I can probably explain in another video. And then on top, you've got the power button. Same as the remote controller, you press it once and then press and hold for power. And you can see that I've got half battery on this as well. I don't know what all the lights mean, but they flash at different times when you're flying or when you're uploading video to your phone or different things. And you can see too, if I move the drone around, then the camera does try and follow where its focal point is, even though I'm not flying or controlling it at all. These kinds of gimbals that make DJI drones so good. Also the range of the camera, it goes so far down and then so far up that it really allows for a lot of creativity with your shots. I almost forgot to mention, in the carrying case, underneath the compartment for the controller, I actually keep all this paperwork for legally flying a drone. So I'm not gonna show that on camera, but that's where I keep it. And then I also have my card for my Part 107 license. So it's important to keep all of that stuff on you in case you were to get questioned by authorities or the FAA or something like that. You can see that the battery takes up essentially the whole interior of the drone, but it just slides in like that.